Hello everybody, Jenny here with Dental Ops Pro, and in today's video we're going to talk about insurances in Dentrix Ascend. So please don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, and let's keep watching. Okay, so as you can tell, I have started from the office overview page, and from the top you can see that I've already selected my patient. From here, next to patient, I'm going to go click on the down arrow, and under insurance, we're going to click on insurance information. As you can see here, this patient has no insurance plans. So let's enter an insurance plan where the patient is the subscriber. I'm going to click on add plan because that's what I'm doing. And what I enjoy about Ascend is when you search for a plan, you can either use the insurance name. So let's say it was a Delta. So I can start clicking in Delta and search for my plan here. Or if you have a lot of Deltas, as I can see here, you can also go by the group number, which I always recommend because even different employers are going to have different plans. So if you can go by the group number, which is usually specific to that plan, that would be the best way to go about it. So we can say it was a Humana plan. This looks familiar, so I'll select that. And it's going to ask me for my subscriber ID. I will enter that there. Now here you're going to see relation, which is self, because I'm entering this as the patient being the provider, so that'll be fine for now. You're going to see coverage start date, so you can either leave it for this date, which is the date that you entered the plan, or you can change the date from when the plan actually started. So that's what I'm going to do here. Coverage end date will say that it's ongoing. Now, if you verified the plan, which I recommend you do before starting, unless you want to use Ascend to verify the insurance, then that's a whole other thing. But let's say you've already verified, so you're going to put eligible and the date of verification. So I'll just select that date here. At this point, you can also add dependents. I would have to add the plan first before I start adding dependents. So let's do that. So it warned me that plans of the same coverage type cannot overlap coverage periods. So what I have done is I've gone to show plans history on, and I can see in 2024 from May 22nd to August 7th of 24, there was a plan history. So it's because of this reason that I had this plan when it was listed as primary that I cannot add another primary insurance because one of them would have to be secondary. So let's change my date here, which is why I always like show plans history to be on. I usually always have it on, but I got distracted with this. So let's select my plan, enter my subscriber ID, and let's say for argument's sake we'll put this January 1st of 2025, and we'll leave it as unable to verify. Okay, so we're going to click save, and it's added my plan. So if I go here, then I can still see Humana listed here, which is the one that we just entered beginning January of 25. And then underneath we'll see the expired plan of MetLife that was entered from May 22nd, 24 to August 7th of 24. Perfect. Now let's remove this, and to remove it, we'll just click remove on the bottom here. Now it gives me the option to remove or to end coverage. There is a difference. So if you have history of either pre-authorization or claims, it's not going to let you remove, which is deleting it from the patient's history altogether. You would have to end the coverage. Editing Jenny here. So either you can end the coverage Or you can delete those claims and pre-authorizations that are stopping you from deleting that plan. So that way, once you're done deleting the claims and pre-authorizations, you can then go ahead and delete that plan. I just wanted to make sure I iterated that properly. So that was it. Thank you. Or if you would prefer for the history of the insurance to stay, just in case the patient says, oh, I thought I had Humana. And you can easily go into the patient's plan history and see that, yes, they did have Humana, but it was only in effect from this date to this date. So even if the patient does not have history of claims or pre-authorizations, I always recommend the patient's true history to equate to the patient's history in our Ascend system. So in this case, we'll say that I entered the wrong Humana plan. So I'm just going to remove it altogether. And once I click on for the shows plans history, you're going to see that it was completely removed. Now let's say this patient, so we'll say Brian, was the policyholder for the insurance. So I'm going to go in his insurance information. You can also go to this screen by clicking on the shield. So we're going to go add plan history. Start typing in the group number. I find the Humana policy here, so we'll click on that. Enter the subscriber ID. Have that coverage start date. We'll keep it as January of 25. And save. Now we can see it's part of his history. Now, if I want to add a dependent, so let's say I want to add myself onto his insurance plan, we can click here, add dependents. And all of these dependents are patients that are already attached to his family history. So whether he is on there as the guarantor or the patient responsible, or if he's already listed on there as a contact, so already part of his family, then those are the patients that would appear on this list. If you wanted to pick a patient as his dependent that is not attached to his family for whatever reason, you can also search for them in this bar. However, since I am attached, I'll click add here. Select the relationship, so we'll say other. And you can also do the same while we're on this list for all of the other family members listed. But since I only want to do myself, we're going to click save. And when we scroll down from here, you can see that I am listed as his dependent. So let's go under my coverage. So I'm going to click on my name here. When the name is blue, it's a hyperlink. So it's a clickable link, so that way you can go into the patient's account. So from here, I can see the plan is in effect, and I can see where my nephew is indeed the subscriber. I have inherited his effective date, so if that's different, this is the time to change. And what I enjoy about Ascend is that we can leave notes for the plan. So we can leave a note here. Now this insurance note would be for the plan. So that means any patient that has this insurance plan, you'll be able to see this note. So this note would be visible for all patients that have this specific plan. If you wanted to leave a patient-specific note, that would be here. As you can see in this, here we enter whether there's a missing tooth clause, a waiting period, any information, we have it listed here. And it's just as a checkpoint. So we would like to double check anything. So yes, we have the Essentials plan where we could have everything verified there, but it doesn't hurt to have it in 2 places. Or at least that's what I like to say. And also, it's a quick way to be able to view the benefits when you hover over. You'll be able to see the note here. Now, if you wanted to leave a note for this specific patient, you can have that here. So I always say that when you leave a note in Ascend, it's always good to leave a date. So that way, the next team member does not ignore the note thinking, oh, this must be old, this must not be relevant, so on and so forth. They'll see the dates. I even recommend leaving your initials so they'll see the person's initials if there's any questions in regards to that note, and they won't ignore it, because especially when we're in a hurry, everybody is just rush, 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 and sometimes we forget our details and we forget to read these things. So leaving a date is a good way of saying, no, this is recent, read it. Now, if you want to update the benefits, you would hover over Benefits, click on this button, and from here you can enter what was used. So usually there's a maximum here. So if it's 1,000, then we would enter used. And if you wanted to know the remaining benefits, then you would take the maximum and subtract what's used, and then of course that's what's remaining. And that would be updated, and that would be information that Ascend would use as they're calculating in the treatment plan options. So once we pull up the treatment plan, these are the benefits that Ascend would be using. So if you wanted to enter any downgrades or missing tooth claws or frequencies, that of course would happen under the plan. So when you select the blue hyperlink, once again, don't forget all the blue text are hyperlinks. So once we click on here, you can update any benefits from here. But be aware that any benefits changed under this text is going to be changed for every patient that's attached to this plan. So once again, if you update anything under insurance plan, then it would change for all of the patients that have this plan attached. It can be good and bad. When we're actually entering a plan, I always say it's a good idea to search for it by the plan number. It will also let you search for it via the payer ID. But even if you're entering another carrier, always search by the payer ID. I don't care if you're entering the carrier and it comes up as a whole new name. If the payer ID matches, then that's the carrier that you need to use. The payer ID is the address that the claims will go to. So the name of the insurance, even if they don't quite match, perhaps they are related, but because if the payer IDs match, then they are indeed related. In my next video, I believe I will go into insurance claims and pre-authorizations. So if there's anything else that you would like to see, don't forget to leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.